the oppressive prison, and the illusion of freedom. There is a place within you where no one would ever dare to enter. A dark territory, a forbidden land, a landscape of the soul whose borders were not imposed by external forces, but were erected by your own trembling and hesitant hands. Day after day, brick by brick, you built this impregnable fortress, this invisible prison. Without realizing, you were sealing your own fate in profound isolation. You may not see this structure with your physical eyes, as it takes up no space in the objective world, but you feel its oppressive weight, a burden that settles on your shoulders, your neck, the pit of your stomach, suffocating you slowly and silently. You cannot touch it, you cannot grasp its bars, but you feel its suffocating presence with every inhalation, every exhalation, and, especially, with every unsettling silence that fills the empty hours of the night, when the defenses of the conscious mind weaken and the reality of your own captivity becomes undeniable. This place has no stone walls or iron gates. Its bars are made of the fear, shame, guilt, and cowardice you have internalized throughout your life. Every time you stay silent in the face of injustice, a bar is raised. Every time you deny an authentic desire, a door closes and locks. And so, little by little, with each act of denial and omission, you become your own jailer, the tireless guardian of your own sorrow. The weight you carry is not the burden of a cruel fate, but rather the burden of your own history, of your desires that could not be realized, of your fears that could not be faced. It is the weight of a life that could have been different, sacrificed on the altar of conformity and safety. The false freedom you bought with this sacrifice is merely the freedom not to face yourself, an empty, echoing freedom. The silent hell. And the psychic underworld, this is hell, according to the disturbing vision of Sigmund Freud. But forget the mythical images of incandescent flames, grotesque demons with tridents, and boiling cauldrons, which belong to a distant and external mythology. The Freudian hell is not a physical place, but a state of mind, an intricate and treacherous labyrinth built in the depths of your unconscious, where all your denials, all your shadows, and your deepest fears come to life and become relentless guardians of your anguish. It is a private, silent hell, a psychic underworld where the darkness does not dissipate because it is fed by your own refusal to turn on the light of consciousness. The air is heavy, and every whisper is the lament of a part of you that has been locked away, forgotten, and silenced. There is no fire, but rather the endless echoes of the desires you have repressed, the impulses you have suffocated, and the uncomfortable truths you desperately tried to silence, naively believing that by burying them, they would cease to exist. Hell, for Freud, is the inevitable consequence of running from yourself, the price one pays for not accepting the totality of who one is, with all its contradictions, impulses, and imperfections. It is a place where the shadows of your past become the monsters of your present, tormenting you with anxiety, guilt, and a persistent feeling that something vital is missing from your life, a crucial piece that you yourself hid away. The reality of this hell is not the pain of punishment, but the pain of emptiness, of incompleteness, of a life lived in half measures, the incessant monster of repression. Every time you deny a desire, a forbidden dream, or an impulse that frightens, you convince yourself that you are free, safe, and in control. This is the greatest and most dangerous of human illusions. We believe that by ignoring what makes us uncomfortable or challenges us, we are exercising self-control and prudence, acting in a mature and responsible way. However, Freud would warn us that this is merely a vain and futile attempt to deceive yourself. The unconscious, unlike our conscious mind, does not forget. It stores records and nurtures everything we try to hide. The more you repress, the more deeply those desires and impulses penetrate the dark underground of your psyche. They do not disappear. They do not evaporate or dissolve into thin air. On the contrary, they transform into restless shadows, into hungry beasts that stir in the hidden corridors of your soul, waiting for an opportunity to manifest. Our unconscious, in this sense, knows no mercy of forgetfulness. It neither forgets nor forgives. Every repressed impulse is like a seed planted in fertile, dark soil. Even if you ignore it and try to suppress its existence, it will inevitably germinate, grow, and become an insatiable monster. What you hide out of shame, what you ignore out of guilt, what you bury out of fear, does not disappear. It returns with an unexpected force and intensity, manifesting in a disguised and insidious way, not as the original desire, but as overwhelming anxiety, as paralyzing anguish, as an invisible weight that squeezes your chest and steals the air from your lungs. This inexplicable burden, this pain that accompanies you, is the physical and emotional manifestation of all your denials, the price your psyche charges for its forced silence. It is an internal protest, a silent scream that demands to be heard, the escape and the silent scream of the soul Freud showed us, with a disturbing clarity that there is no real escape. The prison of repressed desires is eternal as long as our resistance to recognizing them lasts. It's like trying to fight your own shadow in a dark room. The more you move, the more it follows you. The more you struggle to deny the existence of these inner shadows, the more intense is the force with which they imprison you, tightening the knots of your existence. This hell is not divine punishment, but the inevitable consequence of running from ourselves, from who we are, from who we could be, and from who, deep down, we wish to be. Perhaps you have already felt this. Perhaps you have already wondered why you carry so much weight, so much inexplicable pain, an emptiness that seems to have no end. Perhaps you have already felt that something inside you is screaming silently, desperately seeking to be heard, to be recognized, to be accepted. It is your essence, your deepest self, crying out for attention. This silent scream is the voice of your internal hell, the desperate plea of your shadows, the infinite echo of repressed desires begging to be accepted, confronted, and finally liberated. You can try to ignore the scream, to drown out the sound, with distractions, with the routine of daily life, with the incessant search for external approval. But it resonates. It echoes in every thought, every action, every dream, haunting you, pursuing you, and preventing you from living fully. Because true freedom is not the absence of a prison, but the courage to face it, to enter it, and to liberate what is trapped inside. The key of acceptance and the promise of freedom. The true challenge proposed by Freud, and the only path to liberation, is to face these shadows head-on. It is to have the courage to visit the darkest places of your own mind, to sit down and have a dialogue with what we are most afraid to acknowledge within ourselves. It is a painful, difficult, and frightening process, but it is the only journey that can lead us to peace and wholeness. Think of it as entering an abandoned house, full of dust, spiderwebs, and mysteries, where every closed door hides a disturbing secret. You can ignore the doors and pretend they don't exist, but the house will continue to haunt you, to frighten you, and to hold you captive. Or you can have the courage to open each one, to face what is inside, to clean away the dust, and finally, to bring in the light of consciousness. It is the courage to admit the desire you have hidden, the truth you have silenced, the fear you have buried. It is the courage to be vulnerable, to accept your imperfections, to embrace your shadows, not as enemies, but as integral parts of your being. For, ironically, only by confronting our personal hell can we find genuine freedom. Only by bringing to light what we have buried within ourselves can we destroy the bars of this invisible prison, the light of recognition, acceptance, and compassion. Not to judge what you were, but to understand and accept who you are in your totality. Liberation does not come from the outside, but from within. It is an intimate, deep work that only you can do. And as long as you breathe, remember this. The key to this invisible prison has always been in your hands. The key is not escape, but acceptance. The key is not denial, but the courage to look within and say, I am this. Now, what do I do with it? Freedom in the end is an act of self-love and radical honesty.